Let's start how it all began. I think I always like to say that it started by you sliding into my DMs.
Oh my gosh. And I brought out my little journal. I went and dug in to find it.
That's amazing.
The first line says, como cuando ya sabes con quién te vas a casar.
Dang.
I was like, when are you going to be back in town? Yeah. I'm all giddy like if it's just happened.
And what did I say?
And you were like, I'll be back whenever you're free. You let me know what works for you.
Whenever you're free, I'll be there.
I'm literally giddy like
You're my sky, you're my blue. I've been sticking with you.
Welcome to the Good Love Podcast. My name is Paulina.
And I'm Josh. And we believe that everybody was created for a good love and it's worth healing and fighting for.
Which is why we create resources and begin conversations so that you can experience healthy connections. So if you are single, dating, engaged, or in early marriage, this space is for you. And today, we're actually going to talk about our love story.
We're finally going to say it.
A couple of our friends told us, like, hey, have you recorded that yet? And we were like, yeah, we probably should talk about our love story since we're talking about good love.
I think it's like we lay down the foundations of what the organization is, like what the podcast is, what we're about, and some rules for engagement, like what we believe and how we believe it and all that kind of stuff. Now we can kind of get a little bit more into some practical advice, get into who we are a little bit more, our story. And I'm excited about that.
I am too. My hope is that if you are single or dating, that this would help kind of give direction and encouragement. And that if you are already married, that it would encourage you to remember the details. So we're going to get into that a little bit. And where do we start, baby? How do we?
Well, I think it's, yeah. Well, I don't know. Well, how do we start? Do we start all the way? I was born in LaGrange, Indiana.
LaGrange, Indiana, in a snowstorm.
Was born in Brooklyn. Were you born in Brooklyn? No, you were born in Manhattan.
I was born in Manhattan.
All right. So we got a New York girl and a Texas boy who moved to Texas, but is actually a Michigan boy.
A Michigander, but was actually born with one Amish boy in LaGrange,
There's
Indiana.
There's a lot of moving parts on that one, actually. It's not as simple.
So we won't start there. We'll start in 2018 when we met.
Well, yeah. Let's start how it all began. I think I always like to say that it started by you sliding into my DMs.
Oh my gosh! Whatever.
You can talk. You can try to deny it. He
followed me on Instagram. Number one, and number two, he liked like 3 of my pictures. So you already know this man was interested.
Okay, well, I was just liking pictures, not a big deal. But
baby, please, don't play.
Did I slide into your DMs or did you slide into mine?
So, out of nowhere, this man who did not post at all started posting quite a bit. And then you posted this beautiful image of your dad, who's literally my favorite preacher since I was like 13. I love him so much. Yeah. But you posted a picture of like a bunch of Taiwanese people just lifting up the name of Jesus. And I was impacted. It was beautiful. So I wrote something along those lines.
So I threw out the bait and you grabbed it.
Had to get a Christian girl's attention.
And you slid into
and
the DMs.
I never DM'd guys first. But in that case, I was just like, this is so beautiful. Something along those lines.
Yep.
And then what happened? So this happened in May of 2018.
Well, how deep do we want to go? Because I actually do, are we talking about that time of my life and all of that?
Sure.
Okay, well, might as well just lay it all out there.
I want people to feel, to know the real thing, know who we are.
So a big part of our story is that we have been Holy Spirit led in so many different things. And that is something that God, which I hope would be encouraging to people. It's like God still speaks today. God will lead you. God will help you to get to that person that you're supposed to get to. So something that when we got married and I got with you, I've never had a girlfriend. Yeah. Never had a date, never held a girl's hand, never kissed a girl. Well, maybe in kindergarten I kissed a girl. Who knows? But
Yo, Kelly from kindergarten in
I'm about to roll up.
in
I need your
Centerville,
current
Michigan.
address right now.
Where you at, girl?
So
Kelly
no,
does not exist, by the way.
No, Kelly, I don't know who Kelly is. There's no Kelly. So basically, like, my dad is, like you mentioned, he's a preacher. So he goes around and he's preaching all these places, and he would kind of like say from the front, like jokingly, like, oh, my sons are single. I'm taking applications and stuff. And so it became this thing where like we never dated. We never had anything like that. We were very focused on what we were supposed to be doing, what God is leading us in. My parents were very big on education and making sure that we were focused on that, and like, hey, don't date while you're trying to do that.
So they encouraged you, don't date while you're in school.
Yeah. So no dating or anything. I didn't even go to prom. Like I took it maybe too serious. Like I went like, no, I'm not gonna. This is something that I'm gonna just keep in mind. Like I'm focused on what I got to
Just
focus
a parentheses. He is also my first boyfriend, and I thought like, oh my gosh, whatever. Like I've never kissed a boy. Like I've never had a boyfriend. But I had been on dates with guys. I had talked to a few guys. So whenever you told me like, no, this is my first time dating, I was like, what?
You were my first coffee date, which we're going to get to.
Yes, we are going to get to.
But basically, like, so there would be this whole thing where my dad would try to, get us to
I remember
get
these
a girlfriend
moments, by
and
the
stuff.
way.
Like, you even remember my dad saying it before we even knew each other.
Yep.
And he would do it kind of jokingly, but like we weren't dating. We were doing that. And then other pastors and other leaders and other people would come to me and be like, oh, I know this girl and this person, and maybe we can set you up. And I would just tell them like, hey, I'm not interested right now. God is going to let me know who, and he's going to let me know when. Okay. And I would constantly have to say that to many people who would try to maybe set me up because they saw, oh, you're single. We know somebody that'll be perfect for you. And that would be a whole thing all the time. And I just would always say, God will let me know who, and he'll let me know when. Mm-hmm. And I just had that deep understanding that was going to be the case. And all of a sudden during one of my times in prayer, which by the way, prayer last week,
go ahead and watch it.
Prayer is so important because God leads us and he does that, and prayer is important.
He does.
Hope that you're still doing the prayer challenge and continue to pray. If you're still doing it, let us know. But I just remember being in my quiet time, and I just had this feeling like to pray for my future wife, which I didn't know. Like, I've always prayed for my future wife. You always prayed for your future husband before we even knew each other, before anything like that. But I just felt like I need to ask God, like, who is it? And so I asked God, I said, God, who am I going to marry? And I know it sounds crazy. I know it sounds weird, but I swear I could just see Paulina's face. Like, it was like right in front of me. Like I just saw her face, and I was like, okay, well, that's weird because I've never talked to this person. We've never talked. We've never we know of each other. We have mutual friends.
And we were supposed to have met. We were supposed to meet 2 years before that.
Yes.
Because I had come to Texas with our mutual friend, Junie, and your car broke down on the way to meeting us.
Not just any car. It was a minivan.
So
we taking a minivan.
Like, the car literally broke down. And we always joke, like, if we had met then.
Because you would have seen the minivan and would have run away, like,
no,
straight away.
What the heck is this? I don't think that we would have probably ended up. Who knows? I don't know.
I don't know. It was
we were in a very different space.
I was supposed to drive over to see you. You were at the Gaylord in Texas, in like Arlington or some other area. And I was on my way to see you. I had a mutual friend, and then my brother was with us, and we were on our way. You don't believe me for some reason that it broke down. It didn't break down. It literally, like, something was, like, it wasn't shifting or something was happening. Had to pull over to the side. Didn't know what was happening. I did go to the mechanic the following day or two, whatever it was. And do you believe me now that it actually did break down?
I had to
didn't like get scared and like run away.
Dan and Jonathan, I'm like, did the car actually break down? And they said it did.
Okay, there you go.
Whatever. Junie and I ended up having dinner with billionaires that night. It was a great time. Ooh, and we met when we were supposed to.
Cool.
But okay, so
the billionaires to invest into the Good Love Co. podcast.
Yo,
sponsorship. Let's go.
Real quick. No, but we then, again, I don't think that we were supposed to meet then, but because of that, we definitely knew each other's names and
Yes.
things like that.
Yeah. I mean,
and
my
then
dad
again-
would go preach at your church. You would know
Yes.
of me. My dad would talk about my brothers and I and my sister and we would come up. So you knew who we were.
Of course, yeah.
It's just from a distance.
Yep. So, but because of that encounter, I think a couple of years before we connected for real,
Yeah.
like we again had that like more kind of one-on-one connection instead of it just being like somebody that you saw at church and vice versa.
That was I think it was God's hand on that one because
Yeah.
we weren't supposed to meet yet.
So then whenever we started talking also on Instagram, it was like, oh, we were supposed to meet a couple of years ago. And there was that kind of connection.
Well, so then I asked God shows me your face. I'm like, God, I've never talked to this person. I know of her. She's really pretty. So I don't know what's going on here. Like, that doesn't make any sense. It so happens that same day I posted that thing that you responded to me that same day I had that vision of you. And I when I tell you, I was mind blown. I was like completely like, there's no way. Like, we've never spoken to each other. We've never written anything to each other. We've never. And the day that I had that vision in the prayer time, I literally see your face. I'm like, God, that's crazy. And then you messaged me that night.
And I was not looking for a boyfriend. I genuinely wasn't like DMing you for any reason.
No, you were
and
just,
I wouldn't DM guys. I just like really was impacted by what you had posted.
Yeah.
Which is why I wish you had written it down like when you saw it, like in your prayer time. That would have been so awesome to have.
Well,
that.
it's just such a crazy thing that happened. And then, you know, kind of fast forward, we every now and then we would DM little bits here and there on our stuff, you know, because then I was actually kind of like, hey, she's really beautiful. She seems cool. I started DMing a little bit. I came out with a devotional at the church that I was at the time. Yeah, it was a devotional about your identity and just kind of like walking people through their identity in Christ. And I saw that you were reading some devotional from a church that you were at, and then
I had posted a devotional.
Yeah, and I was like, hey, I was like trying to find some type of way in, right? I was trying to find some way to kind of connect. So could you like read over my devotional and see like how it is compared to the one that you had? And I literally, it was just like through like, okay, yeah, sure. Here's my email address. And I just sent you the PDF of it, and you did some revisions, or like you were just like reviewing it for me.
Going back and reading those emails now is the cutest thing, because it's like, dear Josh, this is great. I would change that. Like, it's
very
so professional, very
yeah, for sure.
Very demure.
And so, but that was actually a great little entry into our conversation, and we started to build from that. And then I was so thankful that you did that, and that I was kind of like, hey, there seems to be something here.
You were trying to take me out. Don't play.
I'm thinking maybe she's interested. I don't know, maybe. And so then I was like, you know, and this is all on Instagram. Thank God, Instagram.
Thank you, Instagram.
You secured it, helped us. Thank you. And so I just remember like, okay, how do I try to take this to the next level? And I said, well, thank you so much for helping me review the devotional. It's great. Next time I'm in New York, I would like to take you out for coffee, and we can like maybe talk about it or whatever. And like, just like as a thank you. And you were just like,
wait, pause there.
Okay.
And then let me catch up on my singleness, and then to that conversation.
So that takes us all the way up to, because my dad was actually going to go on a trip to New York to go preach at that church.
Yep.
And so then I'm like, this is my opportunity to try to take her out for coffee.
Okay.
So that now you know my side of things.
Here's my side of the story. This is our kids, and this is how I met your mother.
Oh, wow.
I love that series. Anyway, so I grew up in church, you know, since I was like 10 years old. And my mom, when I was little, before we knew Jesus, she was like, oh yeah, you can have a boyfriend when you're 13. And then we became Christians, and she was like, you cannot have a boyfriend until you are like 15 or 16, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
Anyway, I had cancer. I was bald. So all throughout middle school, I was not cute. I'm serious. And then I really had a summer I turned pretty, for real, where like my hair grew out. I finally looked like a like a regular 13, 14-year-old. So when I went to high school, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I start getting attention from guys for the first time. And I was just like, ooh, like this is awesome. And my mom was like, absolutely not. You cannot date. So there were like, I remember the first guy who gave me flowers, like my dad ran them over. Like my brother put the flowers in front of the tire and my dad ran them over. I have so many of these stories that are just so ridiculous. Funny. My mom was so mad too. She's like, Rafa, it's okay that someone gave her flowers. It was
just a nice thing. It's not a big deal.
Exactly. So,
but your dad was like, Yeah.
So in high school, I couldn't date until I was like 15 or 16, my mom said.
Okay.
And so then there was this guy that I liked and he took me on my first date and everything. But again, at that time when I was 15, I remember Holy Spirit saying, because even as a teenager, even as a child, there is no junior Holy Spirit. He speaks to us.
That's a great point.
And so as I was like going and like having crushes and all this, I remember being on the train, on the G train, and God was like, make a list of the things that you want in your future husband. And that's going to help you just like see what guys you should give attention to, consider, versus what guys are not for you.
Wow.
And I was like,
it gave you a filter system.
It gave me, and it was, listen, I made that list when I was 15, baby. And I kid you not, that list helped me because I would have my little list and I would be like, ooh, and I have it. So I brought the receipt.
You actually have the written list. Because
whenever we met, I was like, I think I met my husband. And I wrote out like each of the things on that list.
No big deal. I just checked off like everything.
Whatever. But that list, and throughout the years, as guys would try and kick it to me, and I would talk to guys and like get to know people. I think that that's like a misconception. Well, then how are you supposed to meet them? No, like you go on dates and you talk and you see.
Yeah. And not to say like, that's actually a good point. Just really quick.
Yeah.
I did it that way where I never went on any dates or did those types of things just because that's what I felt I had to do. Yeah. That's not necessarily the case for everybody. Yep. That's not the standard that we're trying to like say that you have to follow that to be successful in dating and marriage.
Yeah. But for me personally, every single time I was like, ooh, I really like this guy, like whatever. I would be like, Holy Spirit, is this the one for me? And something would happen specifically the next time I talked to the person, whatever the case was, where I was like, oh no, this ain't it. Like, this is not the one. And I do think that something wise to keep in your back pocket is you don't give to a person that you're talking to something that belongs to a boyfriend, right? And just like you don't give to a boyfriend something that belongs to your spouse. So for instance, the line for me was, I'm not going to kiss anybody other than my boyfriend.
Good. It was just a boundary, a good
so we
standard
can go to coffee, we can get to know each other, we can talk, but becoming physical at any capacity, that belongs to a boyfriend. And with my boyfriend, I'm not going to have sex with you. That belongs to my husband. Right. So those were boundaries that really like helped me kind of keep things in their right place. Yeah. In the waiting and in singleness.
Super wise. Yeah.
So 2018 rolls around. And some things had happened and I decided I'm definitely not leading anybody on, because if you can't tell, I'm very extroverted. I love people and I was very flirtatious. Like just personality wise,
you're very charismatic and you love people.
Correct. And so I wouldn't have the like same boundaries that I know now, because I would think like, no, I'm just being nice. But it's like I wasn't thinking about other people as much as I should have.
Or how they would perceive that.
Correct. So I learned the hard way that like, no, that you're like leading people on that you're not even meaning to lead on. So all that to say, 2018 rolls around and I was just like, I'm not leading anybody on. I'm going to be extremely clear. So again, when I DM'd you, it was genuinely like the ministry thing that I was very impressed by. I was not flirting with you.
There was nothing like that.
And even when we would DM like briefly, it was very brief, straight to the point kind of thing. And then August rolls around and you were like, hey, like I'm going to potentially be in town soon. Please let me know if you'd be interested in going to coffee. And my dilemma begins because I was just like, I don't want to be in a relationship. I am in my singleness season.
Yeah.
I'm not talking to nobody. I don't want to meet nobody.
Yeah, you were kind of like, I'm not. You were done with that for a while.
And so I had my like childhood best friends that were like, Paulina, do not go to coffee if you do not
Pump the
intend to
brakes.
like date this guy at all. And I was
Yeah.
just like, yeah, and I don't intend to date him. So I guess I'm not going.
Wow.
And then I had this our mutual friend, Junie, she was like, what's the worst thing that can happen? Like she was really vouching for something to happen between us.
Yeah.
And she's like, why not? I mean, it could end up leading to something. And I'm like, no, I don't want it to lead to anything. And then we had my level head best friend, Miranda, who is still this person in my life. And she goes, Paulina, just tell him coffee's just coffee. And then if he wants to go and he understands that, great. And if not, then don't go. You've made it clear. So sure enough, when you asked me to coffee, I said.
So now we're back to where we are in the story.
Yes, so now we're back. We're caught
I asked
up.
you for coffee and I just said, hey, I'd love to take you out for coffee. And because my dad was going to be on a trip there, I didn't have a ticket or anything yet, but I was just like, hey, you know, like this could be a good opportunity. I message you and then you come back with like
Hey,
warning signs, like, hey, just really quick.
I just want to be clear that coffee is just coffee.
Yep.
And you guys, you know that you can read a message and just not say anything, right? Not with Josh. He says, I need 10 minutes. Something.
I wanted to play it off like I was busy doing something, but
Which you could have just not responded for 10 minutes.
Correct.
But you were like, give me 10 minutes.
I panicked. All right. I
So
panicked.
what did you do during that 10 minutes?
I was like, what the heck? Because I thought you were interested in me. I thought like, oh yeah, like she's gonna want to go get coffee, and maybe she is interested, and then we can kind of move this along. But then it was like this huge kind of like, what? Oh wait, she's not interested. Oh, like she just wants to make sure that she wants to put these boundaries in place. Totally fine. And I had to make a decision. Like, do I want to continue and like take a chance and see, or do I want to be like, all right, well, maybe another time or something, you know? And well, I just was like, I'm going to take a chance. I'm just going to go for it. And so I said, sure, coffee will just be coffee. But in my mind, I'm like, coffee ain't going to be just coffee. I was going in there with like, I wanted to see if this was going to go anywhere.
And on my end, I really did enjoy your devotional. I thought you did a great job. And for my birthday, every year, I always pray for my word. You know, as Christian girlies, we always ask for a word. And my thing that year was like radical faith. I want to live out radical faith, Lord. I don't want to play it safe. I want a life that is marked by radical faith. And to me, you were impressive because it's like you got an MBA and then you planted a church with your brother. Like the two just did 1 + 1 didn't equal 2. And I was so impressed by that. And I literally just wanted to meet you to talk about that. Tell me about that. Like, what was that journey like? Why did you end up, you know, going into that? So that was kind of my mindset behind having coffee with you. And so, yeah. So I said, coffee's just coffee.
Coffee's just coffee.
You
so
said,
I said, okay.
Great. Yeah. Coffee's just coffee.
Coffee will just be coffee. Let's just hang out. And literally right after that conversation, I went and booked the ticket. Because I was like, all right, it's go time. And in my mind, you know, it was really a battle of like, man, I really think like this is a thing from God. Like there was something that I felt. And I never told you anything like that or anything. It was just, that was me personally with God and like talking with, you know, some of my close friends and family. And I was just like, this doesn't make sense. Why would she say this? Shouldn't she be interested with me? Because I'm really interested in her and I'm letting her kind of know that I am. And yeah, it was like a thing of like, let's just take a leap of faith. Let's just go for it and see what happens.
You felt that you were letting me know because you asked me to coffee?
Well, I was like, and again, you don't know the context behind me. Like I don't talk with girls and I don't do this whole thing, right? I try to be careful with that.
Yeah.
And so like, it was just like this thing of, hey, like, I thought we were talking and we were messaging and that maybe you would be interested. And so it was like this thing of like, dang, she's not. So all right, well, let's just see what happens. If anything, it'll be a good time and we can just talk about it, like talk for a little bit, and who knows, maybe it'll go somewhere. I just had that like sliver of hope.
So September 7th rolls around, which is the day that we met.
Yeah. So then I went to your job and I went up at the YRF.
And I'll never.
By
So
Wall Street.
I'm dressed super casual, makeup simple.
Yeah.
I was sick that day. Like I wasn't feeling great. And like, was I date ready in your opinion?
Look, you worked at a really cool place. And so were you date ready? No. You weren't.
I wasn't.
You were
truly
not in your mind. You were
no.
not there to try to impress or do anything, though you were still incredibly beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
So literally, I just remember going into the building that you were working at, which is on, what was it? Broadway by Wall Street. Went up the elevator. And again, like, I haven't been around New York very much. And I was just like, this is so cool. Like, this is like amazing. And like the whole area. And it was just such a beautiful thing. I go up it's a gorgeous building. I go up, the elevator door opens. I walk in and I turn to my right and you were just like right there because you were in the office area of the YRF because you were doing office administration or something like that.
I was a receptionist at that time.
Yeah. And I just remember seeing you and I was like I literally absolutely remember thinking like, wow, she's way more beautiful in person.
Oh my gosh.
It was crazy. Like I was just like, oh yeah.
You were so sweet. I was not nervous at all that day. I'm chilling. I'm just
nervous.
grabbing coffee.
Oh my God,
no
my heart
big
was
deal.
beating. I was like,
But when you came out of that elevator, I was like, he is so handsome. Like
I brought it that day.
You did. You brought it.
I was a sneak attack. You got ambushed.
I'm giddy, literally, just as if it was that day.
Yeah. So it was, and then I just remember you had one of your friends there, Lourdes. She was there, and I remember you guys were on the desk and then started talking a little bit, and you were just finishing up work. And we were gonna go and we kind of made some idea what we were gonna go do. We were just gonna go to the Met to talk and see different things there because it was my first true time being. Or I've been to New York several times, but this was a time where I got to kind of go explore and see other things.
Yeah.
And so I was asking you for itinerary things. I was trying to find ways to talk with you. So I was like, I need itinerary and I need this. And I was just asking you for ideas and places to go, things to check out. And you mentioned the Met and you were just like, well, the Met's not too far from where I am. Maybe we can just
It really was. We had to hike all the way up, but the train ride was easy. So we went to the Oculus. We were walking around and I kid you not.
Well, can I say what I did when I was at the office?
Yes.
So we talked because again, you said I have an MBA and I study business and different things like that. I love economics and I love studying and learning about that. You went to school and you were getting a political science degree. And I asked if you took any economics classes or anything. You said no. And I'm like, how do you have a political science degree?
Which is wild.
Without taking basic economics classes.
That's crazy. And that was not on me. The school did not require it.
Sowell, you can literally see it. And I was just like, how do you not? So I was like, well, you need to get something. So I was like, I'm going to bring you a book. And so I brought you a book to your job and I left that book on your desk.
Yeah, because I didn't have a big purse. We were going to be walking around.
Yeah, and I was just like, here you go. Here's a book. Left it there, and then we left, and then we got on the train, and what happened then?
So first conversation, and I brought out my little journal. I went and dug in to find it.
That's amazing.
My actual journal entry.
The actual journal entry.
Yes. The first line says, como cuando ya sabes con quién te vas a casar.
Dang.
When you know who you're gonna marry. This is September 10, 2018.
That's crazy.
So, oh my gosh, I can't. So you guys, for real, look, the list that I wrote this April 2nd of 2015. Maybe I was a little older when I made the list. I don't remember. Anyway, the point is, the first thing you mentioned to me about your family, not the ministry stuff, not all of those things, which are great. Yeah. You were like, my mom gives the best hugs. Her hugs are healing. And you were just...
Yeah, they are.
And literally the first thing on my list was, I want him, mind you, I made this when I was way younger, you guys. Like, I think this date is wrong here. I want him to come from a family of love, a family that's kind and united and peaceful, that when I meet them, it feels like a big, sweet hug. And I was just like, oh my gosh. Like, and so literally the rest of the night, from the train ride to getting to the Met, it was like every single thing that I wrote down on that list. And let me see, how long was the list? The list had 10 things.
Wow.
And you literally, like, something happened related to each of those things.
Give the people at least one more.
I can give them all of it.
Go for it.
Okay, here was the list that I made. Be kind, okay? I made this when I was way younger. I want him to be smart, to challenge my mind, to cause me to think, to make me want to read. And then the book thing came up.
Yeah.
I wrote this on September 10th. So this would have been on the Monday when I got the book at work. So we got to tell them the end of that. I want him to be hilarious, parentheses, but not perverted. Yo, that's how you know I grew up in New York. Just people be wilding out there. I said, I need him to not be perverted. I need it to be. And so to make me laugh in a way that no one else can, but to also be able to stop.
Okay.
Because, you know, I don't be liking people who just, anyway. I want him to have confidence and godly authority. And I literally, guys, then wrote an entire paragraph on how
examples of how that happened.
Of those things came up when we met. I want him to be gentle and kind. I want you to look at me like you look at no other.
Oh,
which you literally hadn't had anybody. And I didn't even know to ask or pray for that.
Yeah.
I want you to show me beautiful things that I've never seen before. Poetry, music, places, foods. And you have. I want you to be loved by many. And that was one that it was like that where you go, like you leave an impact and you help people. And that literally is who you are.
That's sweet.
I want you to be doing your own thing, changing the world one life at a time. This is so great. And then number 10, be brave in your pursuit for me, in your pursuit for God, in your pursuit to reach this world for Christ.
Wow.
Oh, yo, 15-year-old Paulina had it going on.
Those were good, man. Like you had some good standards.
And I kid you not, baby, every time I would be talking to a guy or interested in a guy, there would be something that would come up, a conversation, a word, a phrase that would just be like, that's not it. And they would just like be removed from my heart. Like it wasn't the one.
You had a filter that the Lord gave you. And I think like that's actually a good idea for people who are in the dating space right now. Ask the Lord, what is your list? What are the things that you are looking for? What are those things that are non-negotiable, like that are red flags that you would say like, no, like if they're not going to do this, then I'm not going to do that.
And what do you want them to be, right? As well, because I think a lot of the times we talk about the things that we don't do. Oh, I'm waiting, so I don't do the other. But really, what are you saying yes to? I am saying yes to enjoying this season. I am saying yes to not settling for anybody other than God's best for me. You know what I mean? So, yeah, when we met, I was completely taken aback. I was just like, because every single one of the things came up in a very real way. So
and then that night, I mean, it was like
that night literally was magic.
It was a really amazing night. We went to the Met. We walked around the Met, and it was just an instant chemistry, instant connection, like just talking, like we knew each other forever. Like it was just talking, like we could just. And it was just a great time. Like we had a lot of fun and we were laughing and having a good time. And then when we were only going to go to the Met, that was it. And then it kind of got a little bit later.
And I remember it was like 8:00. We were overlooking Central Park.
Yeah, on the roof of the Met at that point.
And we hadn't gotten coffee.
Which is what we were going to talk about. And so in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, it seems a little bit later. So maybe we're not going to do that. And all of a sudden you mentioned like, oh, you still want to get coffee? And I was like, absolutely, like, yeah, let's go do it.
So then we rode all the way from the city. I think it's like Upper West or East Side.
East Side.
All the way to Brooklyn.
Yep.
And the whole time,
to Martha's Bakery.
To Martha's Bakery, the little one.
The little one.
And literally the whole time we were just talking. The night was beautiful. New York in September is my favorite.
It was such a great. The weather was great. Everything was beautiful.
And And so we get to Martha's. We're still talking. At this point, I kind of start losing my voice.
So you weren't feeling well.
Yeah, I wasn't.
You know, like if you know us in our relationship, in our friend group, like I don't talk very much as much. I'm kind of more on the quiet side. You definitely will love to talk with people and have all that charisma and love to build those relationships. I'm a little bit more quiet, introverted. But on that night specifically, you lost your voice and you couldn't talk.
Yeah.
And it forced me to then have to kind of lead and talk and
Yep.
do more of that side of things while you had to listen, which is usually, I mean, we both talk
Yeah.
pretty much equally now, but like, it was just so interesting. You would think it'd be the other way.
And I think that that leads to the first thing that we wrote down that we want to mention today is dating with intention. Not going around like, kind of, and I mean, if that's what you want to do, then do that. But
That's
what
your
worked
choice.
for us was that we dated with intention. We weren't trying to get like fulfillment from a person. We weren't trying to get our deepest needs met by this relationship. I had prayed, Lord, if I'm called to singleness, I will be single the rest of my life. Like you just remove the desire that I have to be a wife and I'll do it. But our need of like, am I valuable? Am I lovable? Those things had been met by God before we ever met one another.
That's right.
And so when we were going into dating, it wasn't for that fulfillment, number one. And then also we were dating, wanting to date for a purpose. So that night, as I'm like, wait a second, like, I really like him. He's really hot. Like, he looks better in person than I had seen on his Instagram, right? You looked handsome, but when it was like your presence, I was just like taken aback by it. But then again, I was just like, okay, like, is this gonna? And so whenever we're having coffee and you mention, oh, this is my first time having coffee with a girl. I don't know how it came up or how you brought it up.
Somehow it came up.
But I was just like, wait, this really means something to him. Like, this isn't just a casual
thing. It came
thing.
up like something, you then came to the realization, hold up, this isn't like him just having coffee for whatever, just to hang out. Like, wait a second, I'm your first one? Yeah, you're my first one. And then, you know, the coffee story from the first episode, I spilled coffee all over myself and burned myself. It was awful. But it was such a great conversation. And it came out in that conversation, like, you never dated anybody, I never dated anybody, and you never kissed anybody, I never kissed them. It's like, dang, that's so crazy, you know. And it was still very like surface level. It's not like we were like really super interested and kind of like, oh, we're like none of that. It was still very kind of professional, very, you know, like still at a distance, all of that. But it was,
I'm just clocking it the whole time, like,
right,
and then like,
But I think like what you said is actually very good, because I was very intentional with this, right? Like I never wanted to just date to date, because I don't need that need fulfilled in my life for being not like being lonely or something, and just filling a gap in my life. Like the Lord was like, I was happy in the Lord, but I felt like it was time. So then it was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I want to make sure that I'm dating with intention and purpose. I feel like so many people struggle with that, because it's just like you're dating without any goal in mind, without any purpose in mind.
you're dating to be fulfilled.
You're dating just to have like, and so then things kind of just float and just stay in this kind of place. But when you have two people where it's like, we are both in a way of like, we want to date with purpose and we want to go someplace with this and see if this is actually going to be some, you know, dating for marriage. Then it gives things so much more purpose. It gives it more focus, and it gives it more intentionality. The whole thing versus, are you my boyfriend? Are you my girlfriend? Are you what are
We're
we?
just talking,
I don't know.
but like,
are we just in this
also-
case? Like, you know, like everything that we did was very intentional and very focused and very much like, all right, let's see, like, is this going to the next step? Yeah, let's keep going. All right. And so, and ended up being like, we walked to then not Bryant Park. It was Williamsburg. What is
It wasn't Domino Park. It was one of the piers there in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Not not the Brooklyn Piers by Dumbo, but like
There's one of those
in
around there.
Williamsburg.
Yeah.
So, which is where you ended up proposing.
I proposed
the
in the
way.
place that we talked for a long time.
And we
right
ended
there.
up getting like some delicious slices. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It was just like the
artichoke
most
pizza.
picturesque, beautiful night. So
And the city looked beautiful. It was just like, that was such a great experience because I don't think I've ever been to that spot either. So I'm like, this is like incredible. Like, look at this beautiful scenery and like the skyline and all that.
So by the end of the night, my voice is completely gone.
Yes.
And so I like get it out of like, so you've never
I
done this
distinctly remember
with
this
a
because I was
girl?
walking to the pier from the restaurant, whatever we were at. We were walking to the pier, and I just remember that question. What was the question?
And I was like, so why are you here with me?
Yeah.
And my voice is gone. Like I'm not able to like engage. And I'll never forget, like, cause you had like your whole cool guy thing going, and that's when it like just
God.
dropped, and you were just like,
Nah, you just asked a
disarmed
question
you.
that I wasn't ready for. It was like, shoot, okay, now it's getting real.
yeah.
Because
I think that was the shift of like the casual, like we're just like there was a shift in that moment of like, oh snap.
Yeah,
okay.
because you literally asked. So like,
did.
you've never dated, you've never been on coffee, anything with a girl before. So why are you here with me?
I did.
And I just remember saying like, oh, I'm interested in you.
Yeah.
And I just like that, I just let it out.
Yeah, you did. And then you followed up and you said like, I understand if you don't want anything, like you're just looking for a friendship. Like I get that. But I also just want to be honest with you. I'm interested in you. I
think you're really cool. I'm interested. And I remember you were kind of like taken back by that. We were at the piers at that point, just talking. And I remember you were just like, well, I don't know. Like, I'm not really in a place. I don't really want to date right now. And you were kind of saying those things. Mm-hmm. And so in my mind, I'm like, hey, I mean, I did what I had to do. Like I went to, this whole thing happened. I want to at least say that I was interested, and I got to be able to say that just to see where it's going to go. And in my mind, it was kind of like, man, we just had such a great time, and she's doesn't seem super interested. So I'm not sure, but
So
yeah,
the night ends. It's beautiful. We say goodnight in the train. It's a New York love story.
I just remember feeling like I was floating the whole way home.
Me too. And I was just like, what just happened? Again, it's hitting me like, wait, I really enjoyed being with him.
Yeah.
He's really handsome. Like that was so much fun. Mm-hmm. And then it starts hitting me of like, wait, he mentioned this about his family and he mentioned that. And so again, I'm like, did I just meet like my husband? Like, Lord, what's going on? And so you had to fly back to Texas.
Yep.
And Monday, I get back to work.
And I remember before even Monday, that next day the following day, I was like, you know what? I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know any of those things. And you started messaging me.
I did.
And when you started messaging me, I remember I went to a Mets game or something that night too. And I just remember you started to message me back. Like we started messaging. I'm like, oh my God, like on Instagram still, I didn't get a number. And so when you started messaging me and like, I started getting, like you started to reach out and stuff. I was like, oh, dang. Like, I think she's interested.
I was just like, that whole night, I remember I was just like,
yeah.
Oh my Lord. Like, so yeah, next day comes around. I didn't message you like all morning.
No.
Then the afternoon rolls around and I'm just like, hey, how's your time going in New York? Like, what are you up to?
I was the happiest man in the world when you started responding back.
So again, I'm just like floating.
We both.
I really liked him, but I get back to work on Monday. He had already left back to Texas, and I'm just like, I mean, I don't know what comes after this. And then I see the book at my desk that you had left there that I had forgotten about.
Yep.
When I open it up, which we still have that, we should put that as part of the decoration.
Oh yeah, we should definitely have that here.
And Josh had written in the book, there was no way of you to retrieve this book if things had gone poorly.
It was there.
And you had written, Paulina, I had such a great time. I hope we can do this again, Josh. You remember that?
Yep. I shot my shot.
You shot it. You left it
I
there.
left it there because
Baby, but what would you have done if it had gone badly?
Had it gone bad, I honestly didn't think about it. I only focused on it going well. Like, but had it gone bad, that would have been incredibly awkward.
So I was just like, oh my Lord. Like,
Yeah.
okay. That's
Yep.
when the journal entry was written that day when I got back home from work. And so from then I wrote to you and I was just like,
No,
hey.
that gave you a chance. It gave me an opportunity, gave you an opportunity. Like, yeah, let's do it.
No, that's when I was like, oh, I like this guy. Like, I really, I want
I
to.
threw it out there.
And so from there I wrote to you and I was like, hey, got your message. I had a great time too. I was like, when are you going to be back in town? Yeah. I'm all giddy, like if it's just happened.
And what did I say?
And you were like, I'll be back whenever you're free. You let
I
me
said
know what works for
whenever
you.
you're free, I'll be there.
I'm literally giddy, like.
And so you said, then you looked, I think, at your calendar or something. You were like, well, I have a day off.
Yeah, so I'm in
So there's
college and
another
I'm
day off.
working, and then there was like this 3-day holiday in October.
And that was literally 1 month later.
That was
exactly
1 month later.
I still don't even have your number. We were messaging all of this on Instagram.
Yep.
And yeah, you said these dates, I went and got the tickets right away again.
And then that whole month we were talking,
Really
getting to know
diving
each other,
deeper.
like really diving deeper.
That was like
At
every
that
day
point,
texting.
it's clear that you like me
DMing.
and I like you.
Yep.
But I think the second thing that we would say is define it.
Define it. Make it, have
This
your boundaries
limbo,
and define it.
this like talking stage that we do, snapping back and forth. Oh, these long streaks, and you don't even know what it is. Define it, because there's 2 benefits to it.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, it helps you to protect your heart, right? So Proverbs 4:23, above all else, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of your heart. Sobre toda cosa guardada, guarda tu corazón, porque de él
Oh, wow.
mana la vida.
Beautiful.
That's when we don't define it, then either we want to like do a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you do, then it's like, are you love bombing me? Like, this is weird.
Yeah. If you don't define it, like, then you need to have proper expectations. If
Exactly.
you don't have the expectations and you don't define what those expectations are, somebody's going to get hurt.
Exactly.
Just because you don't know and you're expecting one thing, another thing happens and you're just like, what the heck?
Because either one person then is giving a lot while the other person feels like, wait, we're not even there yet.
Yeah.
Or the other person is expecting for you to like show up and do stuff, but you're trying to protect yourself
Right.
because you're not sure what it is. So by defining it, it's like, okay, you're my boyfriend, I'm your girlfriend. So me being romantic.
What does that mean?
Exactly. It just protects the both of you, as opposed to like, again, these like super long talking phases, and we're snapping back and forth.
Nothing's defined.
And I'm being vulnerable with you, but actually there's no place for me to put that. Like, that is so devastating for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, that following, I mean, I think that's actually a really good point. Like, just be very specific, define what it is, know your expectations. And for me, I had expectations. Like, if we're going to be boyfriend and girlfriend, this is what that means to me.
Yeah.
And like one of those things being exclusivity, like, you know, like that's just a simple one, right? Going to the next level beyond talking is like, okay, now we're in like, oh, I'm not going to talk to other people. This is what, now it's just you and me. And we're going to give this an opportunity, focused, and really like allow this relationship to grow. And if
Yeah.
it continues to grow, great. If it doesn't, then we know like this wasn't the case.
So catching that up with our love story.
Yep.
October comes around. That whole month, I mean, we're messaging back and forth. You still didn't have my number.
I still didn't have your number.
But we knew, like, oh, you like me and I like you at this
Yep.
point. Like, you've told your parents about me. I've told my parents about you.
Yeah, it's like we
All
are
of our
definitely talking.
friends.
It was the talking phase.
It's
for
so
sure.
funny. My coworker, who was the other receptionist with me, she took a bunch of pictures of me when I would just be texting you and just like at work, like just, messaging you back and forth. It felt like 24/7, just getting to know one another, our favorite color.
That was such a great phase. Like how
the 21 questions phase,
oh
you
my
know?
gosh. Just like the amount, like butterflies all the time. Like it's just such a great
The
feeling.
sweetest time ever.
Yeah.
And so then you came in October.
And we had our first official date.
And then you saw me date ready.
And you were date ready. Dear Lord Jesus, you were so beautiful that day. Oh my God.
Thank you, baby. You looked really handsome too.
Yeah, it was like you brought, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready.
So we went to the MoMA and then we went and got really good burgers at, was it Black Tap?
Black Tap.
So good.
Yep.
And it was a beautiful time. And then you officially asked me to be your girlfriend.
At Rockefeller Center. No, across the street from Rockefeller Center at one of those like fountains that are right there. We go to there all the time.
With the Habibis making the halals, like the smoke blowing in our face.
Food's great. But like, I remember, like I wanted to ask you to be my girlfriend and make that official. Like I wanted to have like, no, we are this now. I asked you to be my girlfriend and then you said yes.
I said yes. And we hugged. We didn't kiss.
We hugged. No kissing yet. I think you said something like no kissing for now or something.
I wanted you to meet my parents first.
Fair. Yeah, I think it's totally fair.
The next day, after you asked me to be your girlfriend, you met my parents.
And you gave me your number.
And yes, I gave you my number.
You gave me a book.
I gave you a book.
You gave me a book
with
that
my
one,
number.
and you gave me your number, and I finally had your number, and I was able to write to you.
Yeah.
So really
we
cool.
defined it, and oh my gosh! In another episode, we're gonna get into relationship anxiety because when you're single for so long, and that's almost like a part of your identity, I was not prepared for the wait. If I do like kiss you, then what does that mean? Or like all these things that have defined me are no longer, you get what I'm saying? And all that part. Yeah. But you met my parents. That memory to me is so hilarious because they were just so pinned up and like,
I'm telling
hello,
you,
nice to meet you.
I went right into it. I dove right in.
And if you meet my parents, I mean, in the brown, like you're gonna meet an auntie, an uncle, like going up the stairs because it's all my family in that corner. Like there's no way of going into the building without running into at least one or two other family members. Yeah,
and I don't know how many days I was probably there like 3-4 days, and we got to just like go and I got to meet people. I got to just like, we went to the MoMA the first day. We went to another museum. We love going to museums. And it was just a great opportunity to get to know each other that much more.
Yep.
It was super cool. And so from there, then it was just like, all right, like we're doing long distance, me in Texas, you in New York. I would keep flying to you then. So like, it would be like once a month, once every other month, I would then go to New York and then eventually you came to Texas.
Yeah.
And I just want to say this one point. It's like, something that we did, which I'm so happy about, and something that I'm happy that I did is, and I don't regret it whatsoever, is that to go all in on the relationship.
100%.
Whatever in life that's worth doing is worth overdoing. It's something that I love. I think it's a great quote. And I just really do want to live life by that quote. And when it comes to marriage, when it comes to dating, when it comes to that, like dating with purpose, and it's really being intentional, like, I'm so happy that we went all in and we're just like going for it, you know, like actually trying to, like all the trips, all the cards, like writing you love letters and writing you this and that.
So beautiful.
And you writing me things and surprising you with surprise trips or gifts and this or whatever. Like it was such a cool thing, and it's long distance. So we're going to have to do an episode on long distance at some point just to talk about that. And maybe we'll have some of our friends get on who also have done long distance even longer than what we had to do.
David and Miranda, we're talking about.
Yes, for sure.
But to your point, baby, of going all in, at this point, you've defined it. Okay, you're my boyfriend. I'm your girlfriend. And so I think something that I don't love when I see dating right now is like we try to keep our cool, and it's like casual, and it's like, you know, because we don't want to do too much. But if you've defined it and that's your person, yes, it can end, but it can also be the person that you spend forever with. So go all in, like with the romance, with the
everything,
messages, with the love, like with
healthy boundaries.
Everything.
Yes. Healthy boundaries. Not everything.
Don't
not
have sex before marriage, y'all. We
not
don't
all
talk
the
about
things, but like, no. Like to where you can go, like with good, proper boundaries.
What I mean by going
Yes.
all in, that's a great point,
Yes,
baby.
let's
Thank
just
you for
clarify that.
clarifying. Is again, not being too cool for school, but actually cherishing that person, like making a big deal of it all. I think one of
Yes.
the things that I think of is for our 1-year anniversary, I had made you a scrapbook and you made me a video. And it was like the same theme, which was so sweet because it wasn't planned.
Yeah.
But we remembered all the details and we can go back and literally get giddy and get all the butterflies
the
all
whole
over
first
again of
year.
remembering how sweet that first year was and just our whole dating. So go all in. Don't be too cool for school.
Don't
and
be
if it
cheesy and
ends,
corny. Enjoy it.
Yes, that's the time to be
Stop
cheesy
trying
and corny.
to try to be too cool for that. Like,
Yeah.
literally, like you're not gonna regret it.
And if it ends, like deal with the heartbreak then. And I say this because for me, for like 2.3 seconds, I wanted to protect myself because of all the fears. And again, that's going to be an episode on its own. And if I look back at any of those pictures, I'm just like, I wish that she had just been in it fully without those
right.
fears and just enjoying it. And so go all in, enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I think I wrote down one of my favorite quotes that I read during that time.
Yes. Read it.
And it says,
Who's it by?
by Mr. C.S. Lewis himself. It says, to love at all is to be vulnerable. Love anything and your heart will be wrung and possibly broken. If you want to make sure of keeping it intact, you must give it to no one, not even an animal. Wrap it carefully around hobbies and little luxuries. Avoid all entanglements. Lock it up safe in the casket or coffin of your selfishness. But in that casket, safe, dark, motionless, airless, it will change. It will not be broken. It will not be unbreakable, impenetrable, irredeemable. To love is to be vulnerable.
That's beautiful. That's so well said.
Wait, I'm sorry. It says it will not be broken. It will become unbreakable, impenetrable, and irredeemable.
There you go.
Which is exactly right. So yeah, you want to protect your heart so
Wow.
bad. And I get it, right? From
Yeah.
hurt and all the things. But you're robbing yourself of the romance, of the beauty that good love brings. And so
100%, babe.
once you've defined it, again, if it ends, deal with the heartbreak then.
Well, I think how many people are just so unwilling to try.
Yeah.
They're not willing to define it because they're trying to protect themselves. They're not willing to take the next step because what if? And it's like you focus on the negatives, you focus on all trying to protect your heart. But in that protecting, and this is something that I learned in therapy, it's like you want to try to, if you want to protect your heart from all the negatives, you're also going to protect your heart from all the positives and all the highs that you could possibly have, because you can only experience the highest highs when you experience the lows as well.
Yeah.
And so instead of like feeling all the full range of emotion and all the good things that can happen and all the amazing love and romance and all the highs of being together, you know, you have to be willing to risk having the lowest low and feeling like your heart is going to be ripped out.
I know.
And if you want to live a safe life, you will never experience the highs.
Yeah.
You'll always just be here. But you know what? Life was meant to live with spice, was meant to live with ups and downs. And it makes the story so much more better and worth it and everything in between.
Yeah. And your heart can be broken.
Yeah.
But again, you will get through that. And also, you can truly experience such a good and pure and sweet love that I really do believe that God intends for us. So I'm so glad I got over all of those fears and that,
Well, and
we said yes to one another.
we said yes. We continue pursuing each other. And we did long distance for such a long time. And it came to the point where I was like, okay, I had this feeling that I'm supposed to move to New York, which we will go into this whole, we'll go into that another time. But that was kind of like the next step. Like God was saying, like, I need you to go move there for a little while.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was going to live there long term, but it was just kind of like this thing, like to go there. and I moved to New York trying to be romantic.
On Valentine's Day 2020.
Valentine's Day 2020, February 14th, 2020. What happened 1 month later?
The world shut down.
The whole world shut down. And, you know, not knowing that was going to be the case. But it ended up that I was there in New York. I got to spend all that time with your family, got to know them at a deeper level, which again, they only saw me every now and then when I would come.
And they barely saw you because whenever you would come into town, we would have these itineraries. Like we would be getting to know each other and making up for like 8-9 weeks that we had been apart.
Yep, exactly.
So during that time, God is not that COVID was a good thing, but it was a sweet thing that you were able to move to New York because then they were able to get to know you. And all that time that had been lost, you know, quote unquote, was made up for tenfold. Like you ended up working with my dad in the bodega.
Oh, that was
pretty much
one of my favorite things in the world was being able to do that.
Oh my gosh.
That was like, what was it? Jacob working for, what's the name?
I have to Rebecca?
Yeah. Well, what's the father, the Rebecca's father? I forgot his name. Anyway.
Isaac?
No, it was, we'll look it up, but
we don't have our phone, so we're not able to look anything.
No, I'm just like, it's like, yeah. Anyway, it was this thing of, I had all these jobs lined up when I went there, or not jobs, I had interviews and stuff lined up. The whole world shut down. Literally all of that dried up. Everything stopped. And I needed work. And your dad literally said that, well, you can work in the bodega. And I said, absolutely, let's do it. And I got to work with him there. For 6 months, I got to work in the bodega. The second day I was working there, literally, I was told that I need to quit.
Very Brooklyn experience,
man.
For you.
You'll
you
learn.
Gave him the wrong toothbrush.
He asked for a toothbrush, and I looked up, and I was like, "That one." He's like, "Yeah," and I picked it up. He's like, "No, that's the wrong one. That's the wrong one, man. You're not cut out for this. You're not cut out for this. You need to go." I'm like, well, "Okay,
my lord."
Yeah, but it was such a great time, and then your dad got to see me work and got to see me as a man and the integrity and like that he could trust me.
Yep.
With, you know, he trusted me. He could see that, like, oh, he's a trustworthy man. He's going to take care of this. He makes things better, or tries to make things better. And I think that was like such a needed thing, so that they could trust like who I was and see who I am.
Yep. And so when you go back, it's like, you know, the block, everyone loves you, and my parents absolutely love you as a son,
and I love
which was
them.
Really sweet. So
wait.
Go ahead.
And then I asked you to be my wife.
Yes.
We got engaged in October
of 2020.
And we then got married in March the following year.
Yeah.
And then we moved back to Texas.
And we have a whole video about our wedding and that whole planning experience. So if you want to check that out, make sure that you do. And then we moved to Texas when we got married.
And that's the story. That's how I met your mother, kids.
That's the beginning of our love story, because it does still continue. And there's so much more to come.
Absolutely.
But I think the takeaway that I would say about our love story is that God remembers the details.
Yeah.
The prayers that we make, even in singleness. And I remember like during the holidays, and I would see all the couples and all the cutesy things in the Hallmark movies. And I would, you know, I couldn't wait for that time. I'm so glad that I waited, because I mean, our love story, and this is just like such a snippet of it, but it was even more romantic and even more of an adventure. And it continues to be than I could have ever dreamed or hoped for.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't agree more.
And then I would say define it, because that guards both and protects both of your hearts. Go all in once you have.
Go all in. Don't be afraid.
I mean, yes, it is to be vulnerable, but to be vulnerable is to experience the fullness of love. And of that growth that comes with good love and the sweetness and the healing that comes with it. And then I would say lastly, baby, like write it down.
Write your story. This is your story.
This is your story that you'll one day tell your kids and your grandkids and who knows who else. So write down the details. Like I said, you made that video. I made the scrapbook. We sometimes go back, you know, periodically and check 100%. It out. And there's like nicknames that you used to call me or that I used to call you that have changed. I feel like every year we have a new iteration of nicknames for each other. But going back and seeing like, oh, that's right, I used to call you this, or these little things that meant
Just
so
remember
much
all the
to
little
us.
things, yeah.
It like just brings it to life and literally gives me all the giddiness and all the butterflies all over again.
Yeah.
So I would encourage people who are dating or engaged, write it down so that you don't forget all the ways that God came through and everything that conspired for you to meet. Like that is such a beautiful thing to remember. So we hope that you enjoyed hearing a little bit of our love story.
I hope that it encourages you. I hope that genuinely, like, this is our story. To us, it's like the most important. Like, we love our story so much. So we're going to talk about it with such passion.
It's like that quote that's like, everybody has a great love story, but ours is my favorite.
Oh my God. What is that?
That's like a quote that was like a corny Pinterest quote that people.
Well, I would just say, like, for you, you have a story.
Yes.
And it is beautiful. It may not look like ours. That's okay.
Yep.
There may have been ups and some really difficult downs. That's okay. That's all part of the story.
100%.
But you are still writing it. And you can still make it what you want it to be and follow God in that and enjoy your story to the fullest.
And for us, we could look back at it and make it mundane as well. Like, yeah, we met and like, you get what I'm saying? But we chose to, again, go all in.
Yes.
And to see God's hand in it.
Yeah.
And everything that it took for us to come together.
Yep.
And I really do believe, like, think about the ancestors that it took for you to end up where you were.
So many things had to all
of
happen.
these things. So
yes.
If you are already married, I encourage you to sit with your person and think through, what is our love story? Remember it again. Think about it. Write it down.
Yes.
Because it is beautiful. And I truly do believe that if we have eyes to see all that it took for us to meet, for us to exist in this time and to be with one another, it's a miracle.
It's a story that God writes and he connects it and he makes it all happen. And it's a beautiful thing and we should treat it as such.
Exactly.
You know, obviously we're super passionate about marriage and we want people to feel that same passion, that this is the one of those things in life you can go all in on and really fully enjoy and be passionate about.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that we did. I'm so happy that we treated it like that. And I just hope that we can encourage people to also see that. And that if you're in the dating phase or you're in the singleness phase, like, we've experienced it. Yeah, this is one of those things that you can go all in, fully enjoy, write your love story down. And I just hope that if you're single, just know, like, we were single for a very long period of time and it's worth the wait.
It's worth it to not settle.
Create those lists, do all those things.
Yeah.
And we hope that we could just be an encouragement, that you hear our story and that you would be like, wow, this is like, God can do amazing things.
Yeah.
And he can do amazing things in your life and also in your marriage.
So if you are watching, we'd love to hear from you. If you are single, let us know in the comments. How's it going? How are you enjoying this season? What is God showing you? What's one thing that you're praying for in your future spouse? Who knows? Maybe they're watching this and this is the way y'all go. Oh. Could you imagine?
Wow.
That would be amazing. If you are dating or engaged, tell us a little bit about your love story. Give us a couple sentences about how you guys met or one way that you can see, oh, this is the person that God brought into my life.
Yeah.
And if you are married, what encouragement do you give to the people who are single or who are dating? What was a compass or a thing that you had in mind that you are so glad and that helped you like choose the one that God has for you? We'd love to hear from you. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And then, of course, turn on the bell notification so that you can see whenever we post.
That's right.
And we'll see you guys back next week.
Thanks for watching.
You're my sky, you're my